Today I thought I'd make a quick video about a question I've been seeing on Quora and some other platforms. And the question is basically, can you make a sword out of precious metals? We're talking about platinum, gold, silver. And I can see where the question is coming from, because it's a common thing in fantasy role-playing games or fantasy literature for precious metals to be like superior materials for making weapons. But in the real world it doesn't really work that way. So I'm going to go over a few points to explain why these metals would really make bad weapons. To begin with, let's talk about their hardness. Now, one of the characteristics of these precious metals, be it platinum, gold, silver, is that they're really ductile, they're very easy to work. They're not very hard at all. And that's a problem when it comes to blades, because you really want them to cut stuff. And you don't want them to get nicked or dull when they hit something. You probably wouldn't be trying to go through armor with them, but still, if you hit something, you don't want them to break or bend either. So you can hammer hard on them to some degree, but even then it's not going to be as hard as steel or iron even. It would hurt someone if you hit them with it, but yeah, still, if someone's coming at you with a sword and a steel sword, and you want to parry them or whatever, you really want something really hard between you and the blade. Another problem which even hardening the precious metal would not solve would be their flex, which is to say they have none. Well, one of the things about a bladed weapon, a long bladed weapon especially, is that once you swing them, there's a lot of vibration going on. Once they hit something, there's even more vibration. The thing with steel is that it bends, it flexes, so that vibration gets lost in the movement. If you have a very rigid blade, that blade is going to break because there's nowhere for the vibration to go. And if you have a very soft blade, which is basically what a platinum blade or a gold blade would be, then it's just going to bend and not snap back. It doesn't spring. So basically you're left with a very expensive banana. Again, you cannot heat treat gold or silver in the same way you can treat steel. So there is really no way around this. The only thing which you could do would be to make it thicker so it doesn't bend, but it brings us to another problem, which is the weight. Practically all precious metals are much denser than steel, and depending on the kind of steel, there's a lot of different densities. Remember, steel is an alloy, but we could be talking around 1.5 times heavier or up to twice as heavy for platinum. So we had to make a platinum replica of a 1.2 kilogram steel sword. That would give you like 2.4 kilograms of weight. That's very heavy for a one-handed weapon. It's going to be very unwieldy. And besides, good luck finding that much platinum. I mean, it's not cheap. We're talking about $34 per gram here, so that sword would set you back around 70,000 euros in raw material only. That's very expensive for something that's not really a very good weapon. But that's not to say that there were no examples of swords forged from gold or silver in the past. We do have some examples, rare examples, but they exist nonetheless, of weapons made from gold. We have some Persian weapons, gold swords, we're talking about 2,500 years old, and some Sumerian daggers. Now, as far as I know, in none of these cases, none of these weapons were actually designed to be used as weapons. They were purely ceremonial. The Sumerian daggers were made to be buried with royals. So again, not to be used as weapons, they were just ceremonial items to be buried along with the deceased. And in the case of the Persian weapons, they were actually gifts to be given off to highly decorated generals, princes, someone you really want to tell, yes, we really respect you, have this thing which has no practical use as a weapon, but it's really well crafted and it costs tons of money to make. So yes, they're examples of beautiful craftsmanship, but not weapons, not meant for fighting. So yeah, I guess that basically sums up the whole thing. You can make something that looks like a sword out of a precious metal. You could use it as a weapon if you wanted to, if you really had nothing else and your opponent was unarmored and yeah, possibly unarmed, because if they try to block you or parry you, then yeah, goodbye to your weapon. And yeah, mostly yeah, precious metals are not really good at swords. That's why we used iron or steel for most of his trading. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this was of any kind of use.